All right, folks, welcome into the show. Welcome in on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon here, 3 o'clock. Well, technically at 3:01 Eastern, 2:01 Central. Welcome in. 58. How about that? Getting two more episodes to 60. Don't think we'll hit 60 this year. No, who knows? Maybe we might. Let you guys know more about that. My plans for the rest of the year, if you will, in just a moment. But thank you guys so much for tuning in here to the show, listening to this live. Welcome in. We'll ask you guys a couple things. If you're listening to us live on YouTube, number one, make sure you subscribe. That's all we need you guys to do, at least from that front. Also, well, not the only thing we need you to do, but that's the most important thing. Make sure you subscribe. Nothing happens. I don't send you guys up or anything. I don't, knock on your door and force you to sign a form or send you guys emails or text messages or phone calls or show up to your house. That doesn't happen. It keeps the show mostly free, though Spotify more different because you have to, depends on how you choose to use Spotify. But for YouTube, it's mostly free. All you need is an internet connection. Pretty sure most of you listening to this do have one, I would assume. So just make sure you do that. And also, make sure to like the videos. And if you're in the live chat right now, say hello. That's all I ask on the YouTube side. If you're listening to this on the replay, this isn't not really relevant. And especially if you're listening to this on Spotify too, which, by the way, if you're listening to on Spotify, our biggest, most of our shows are all of our shows have been on Spotify since the beginning. So if you've been listening to us since this summer, since it's June, I believe, I recall, it's already been that long now, June, so about 6 months of starting the show. Been with us since then. Congrats, you've made it to almost a whole year. Of course, end of the year coming up. Obviously, things are going to get pretty busy for us and, well, for anyone in the industry covering the sport in particular. But thank you so much for being with us since the beginning. I've really enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun on Spotify. It was our first home, and they're not a sponsor of the show necessarily. We could very easily just leave Spotify, but we're not. But we've also started recently on YouTube, as I just mentioned. Again, if you're listening to us live on the Four Verticals podcast YouTube channel, by the way, going to just make sure you guys can in fact hear me. Do this every single show just to make sure the audio is working well. I think it's working well so far. Just leave Spotify around. Okay, so you guys can hear me. But yeah, welcome to the show again. That's all I ask. Make sure you subscribe, like the stream. You know the drill. And same thing on the podcast feed. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review if you want to as well. Give us a 5-star review. Really appreciate it if you guys do that. So that's all I'm asking for you guys. So by the way, too, as I mentioned here before we get too deep into the show, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. So next week and the next couple of weeks, I will not be able to do a proper show. More than likely until, what would it be? The second or first, probably second or third. So more likely it'll be the week off next week, and then the week after, around New Year's, we'll be able to do a show after that. So I will not be able to do shows during most of the college football playoff, I think. So yeah, most of the playoff games. This week should be fine. And next week, probably not. The week after, maybe still be the semifinals, I think, at that point. At least I think that's how it works. I'll have to double check the bracket again. Well, I'll do my full playoff predictions and thoughts on Thursday, at least after round one. But since I'm going to be on, Christmas vacation, going to an undisclosed location in the Southeast, I will not have my equipment with me, more likely. So I can't do shows. I can't do, all that stuff. So in lieu of that, I will be pre-recording. I think this is how it's going to go. I'll let you guys know if things change. I will most likely be pre-recording evergreen shows or videos that will be evergreen. Means it'll be year-round. So you can listen to the video I make this week. I will start recording these tomorrow. You can listen to it in March or next summer or whatever. Doesn't matter. They're evergreen shows. I may listen to that shows or probably not. Probably just be individual videos. So episode 60 will have to be the week after next week. So basically the new year. So that's how it's going to work. So I'll have some evergreen shows. I'll have some of them premiere next week. Some of them will premiere, throughout next week and the week after a little bit. So it's going to be pretty cool. Again, there'll be probably individual videos. I'll have those up so you guys can watch them throughout the holiday season, I guess. Have some random topics there. Ranging from college football, Star Wars, Marvel news, and some other newsy stuff, I guess, from Marvel and Star Wars I can't cover right now. because I can't really cover because again we got playoff stuff. I'll be covering some Marvel news or at least some movement going on, particularly with Sony and Spider Man. And by the way, too, got that Superman trailer coming out Thursday. Who's to say we can't react to it here on the show? Now I can't play the audio for you guys, but we will give my thoughts on it for sure. I know there's a lot of nervousness, a lot of uneasiness surrounding the trailer for some reason. But that is coming out this week. Superman, James Gunn's Superman is the trailer will be coming out on Thursday, I believe 9 o'clock over here. 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Obviously, I'll record the show. Our live will be live a little bit after that, so I'll have time to digest it, talk to you guys about it, what I think of it. We don't usually talk a lot of DC, but something like this that is going to be probably the biggest movie trailer of the year. It deserves a reaction on the show. So we'll cover that, playoff predictions and all that stuff, and maybe some more specific news and info stuff, probably in the portal and recruiting. Well, not necessarily recruiting, but mostly portal, maybe some coaching carousel update. By the way, too, as we got some breaking news, I think this happened earlier today or maybe yesterday. I don't know. It's been a long day. But Dave Clawson at Wake Forest is retiring, so he is done. Top for him. Very, very good career there. Nothing else to really say. I mean, he did some pretty amazing things at Wake Forest. Some stuff that we have never seen in most of our lifetimes. Now, some of us are alive, in 2006 or 2007, but Dave Clawson, man, did some really good stuff at Wake Forest. Sad to see him go, but he is moving on, and they will begin their coaching search, apparently. So, hats off to Dave Clawson and company. Having a good authority, too. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to get into some trouble. What I will tease here is that I've always thought with Dave Clawson, we'll get into the main show topics here, that with Dave Clawson retiring, and I can kind of say this because I didn't have a show back then, but I have my own thoughts on whether or not Dave Clawson could have been involved in some recent coaching searches, perhaps somewhere in the southeastern region. So I'm going to say, leave it at that. I don't have any necessarily sources tell me that, but I just have a hunch that he may have been a mystery candidate for some of these jobs in the southeastern region. Just leave it at that. Leave it there. But yes, very successful head coach. Sad to see him go, but he is retiring, and they have begun their coaching search. Interesting to see who they bring in. We will see. Let me get some water real quick here just to make sure I'm good to go here because we got a huge show today. So we'll do that, and we'll get into the main show. So again, welcome in, and then we'll get started here in just a second. Okay. Travis Hunter wins the Heisman. He won it on Saturday. I was watching the presentation on ESPN when they were in New York, and have Chris Fowler there and everyone being there for the ceremony. Of course, he wins it over Ashton Jenney, Dylan Gabriel, and some of the other guys. I think Bo Scatabo, Arizona State was a sneaky contender, if you will. He got into the top 5 of the fan vote, and most sports writers had him up there in the order. But Travis Hunter wins the Heisman. Look, I didn't give my predictions on this during the week because I don't really care. I don't think there's any skill for predicting that. It's like whatever, whoever wins it, wins it. I don't think there's any big controversy. I think Travis Hunter deserves it. Oh, he does. I mean, he plays 2 positions. He had a really good year this year, okay year last year. Granted, it was a transitional year for Colorado, and there's a lot of wonkiness of all that, and now the season ended last year. So him winning the Heisman, no big surprise, and probably going to be the first overall pick in the draft out of the stadium. Come next spring, and I think he deserves it. I know a lot of folks were mad that Ashton Jenney didn't win it. Look, it is what it is. I think there are some circumstances there. Obviously, he's a player on a G5 school, and the last team to do so, or the last team to have a quarterback who won the Heisman at a G5 school was, I believe it was Andre Ware at Houston. Now, Houston was in the Southwest Conference. Now they're now Big 12, and they were in G5 for a while. So I feel that to say yes, by technicality, there has been a G5 quarterback who has won a Heisman, which is again Andre Ware, but very hard to do so. I think Travis Hunter is a little bit more well-known player. He's had a great career, right? 5-star kid from Jackson, goes to Jackson State after spurning Florida State, Mike Norvell. If you guys don't remember that was back in was that 2019? Was that long? I think it was. I remember seeing that on my phone when I was in high school, taking the exams, last fall, winter semester exams. But seeing that after I got out, I'm like, oh, okay. But Man, it's been that long ago. So he wins the Heisman. I have no shame in that. I think he was the right guy for it to win it. I That's probably who I would have chosen my ballot just because of how much his skills and abilities, right? Just playing both sides of the football, and a lot of people, of course, are making a big deal about some of the things that have nothing to do with him winning the Heisman, which I don't. Who cares? I don't. As you can tell on my Twitter timeline, I haven't commented on that, so I really just don't care. You won the Heisman. I think that's really good for him. Again, I think that tells you how much of a freak specimen he really is. I mean, just as a pure athlete, someone at least in our generation we may not see again, which is saying a lot because we've seen a lot of great athletes, Michael Vick, Cam, even guys who didn't win the Heisman, the Deshaun on the field stuff, Lamar, even Dak Prescott, Mississippi State. We've seen a lot of good athletes, right? A lot of explosive athletes who've put their stamp on the sport, have transcended the sport, have risen several programs. Another one to think of, Pat White at West Virginia, Colin Klein at Kansas State. Just a lot of transient athletes, guys who have like rewritten record books and established new records. But we never really have seen a player do some of the things Travis Hunter has done to at a sustainability, right? At the FCS level and now at the Power 4 level. At Colorado, just incredible. I know a lot of folks have their own opinions on Deion. Some people hate him, some people don't mind him, some people like him. Kind of fit somewhere in the middle, probably leaning towards liking Deion to both in the middle. Like I don't care, whatever. Like I don't dive into the whole drama stuff. Yes, was I wrong on Deion? And to thinking if this was going to work, I was wrong on that. I'll be honest, I was wrong on that. I thought the Steelers are going to struggle, especially with bringing in someone like Pat Shermer. Was a downgrade of the list, but whatever. That's my opinion. And Travis Hunter, I think, deserves the award. I think if I understand there's some Boise State fans, certainly in Albertson, in the Albertson, Idaho area. I'm pretty sure are not happy. I'm sure they would have wanted to see the guy win it, but again, as a G5 player, not a lot of big national televised games. It sucks that their game at Oregon was on a streaming service, so that doesn't help. So it sucks. He will, of course, National Virginia will be in the playoff. He will await the winner of I believe it's the Penn State. Penn State. So the Penn State SMU game. So they'll have their shot. They'll have their shot for a national championship, according to the playoff committee, because of course, they play the same sport as everyone else does, or at least they're the same caliber of team. Sarcasm here, but yeah, this whole Ashton Jennings versus Travis Hunter thing, I don't care. It sucks if you're a Boise State fan. It sucks if you're Ashton Jennings. But Travis Hunter, to me, is again he's not a player we're never going to see again in college football. We'll go on until he does the NFL, but as a college football pure athlete, never really seen anyone up to this caliber, again, doing some stuff he did, like playing safety and quarterback, and also playing wide receiver and being lead at both. Something we will probably never see again. Right, very, very rare error there that we will probably never see. He's also probably the first technically non-offensive player since Charles Woodson won it in the 90s. And technically, he, of course, there have been other non-quarterbacks who have won it. Right, you got Devontae Smith, Derrick Henry. People like that, Mark Ingram. So good for him, and he'll move on. And I believe he's playing the bowl game too. I think he will be playing the all Big 12 Alamo Bowl, which is it's hard to explain that, but it has to do with the old Pac-12 tie-ins and stuff. But he'll play in the bowl game. I think he'll move on to NFL, and that'll be it for his college career, and he'll move on. But congrats to Travis Hunter. Congrats to Deion Sanders. Congrats to that whole staff up there and his family. I know Travis's speech, definitely not the most traditional speech we've seen, but very unique. Very, very unique, and certainly got my attention, too. It was a very, very good speech. Nothing wrong with a unique speech, right? Doesn't have to be the, cookie cutter, stand up there with a piece of paper and read it off. I think what Travis did is certainly raw emotion. Certainly that would have been probably me, too. If I was in that position, I would have I needed a paper. I could just, I don't think I would have needed to read off the script like some of the past Heisman winners have done. But congrats to him, wins the Heisman. I think it was the right choice. I mean, it's who the Heisman trustees voted on, so I mean, it better be the right choice. So you'll get the trophy. I know a lot of Ashton Jenny fans are upset and disappointed, but nothing you can do about it. He won it. What like there's now some like great years against Boise State now, like during the playoff. Like, well, it's anyway. We're getting down a whole tangent, but congrats to Travis Hunter, Deion Sanders, that whole administration up there, that whole the team, players, coaching staff up there. Huge a win for them. The year that has been a full of surprises for them. So that's my little thoughts on that little. Don't really spend too much time on it because again, it's a couple days old now, so it's kind of old news. But that's my thoughts on it. Totally deserves it. Don't totally understand the whole Ashton Jenny like controversy. There's no controversy. Like Travis won the award. So I don't know, like what, like that's a great conspiracy, I guess. But whatever. Let's get into something that's less controversial, and that is the round one of the playoffs. I'll give my thoughts, predictions, what I think of these games. And like I mentioned, Thursday we'll be giving my full predictions after, including round one, so my round one predictions here, and also moving on to the other rounds, and the national champion will be crowned on this show. I was on the fence of doing this, the whole predicting the whole bracket, but I decided why not? It's close enough now. We can fully do this. So I'm going to get, again, some drink water here. It's not nothing wrong with me either. It's just really thirsty for some reason. But yeah, we're going to get some more water here, make sure the voice is ready to go, and we will start predicting some of these playoff games. How about that? Okay. Ohio State, Tennessee, and Columbus. This will be the 8 o'clock game, I believe, on ABC. All these games will be basically ESPN games. I think some of them are on TNT, but they'll have the ESPN's personalities. So, no, you'll not be having Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley, Kevin Harlan. We'll not be calling in these games. It's just going to be the ESPN personalities, but they'll be simulcast on HBO Max and and on TNT as well. Well, they'll be broadcasting on those games. You just won't have the TNT personalities. I know it's weird, but it's the world we live in, so that's how they decided to do it. And TNT bought some games, but it will be ESPN personalities, not the TNT people or CBS people by extension. But Ohio State, Tennessee on ABC. Actually, I believe, if I double check here, doing some live research, I believe is this the game where Christian Kirk was going to be at, if I recall correctly. By the way, their first game at Ohio State this year on ABC, which again, because of the new TV contracts and stuff, they can't. ABC can't do Big Ten games anymore, but they can do their home playoff games. So, yeah, it will be them. Chris Fowler, Kirk, Hollywood, Marty Smith will be there as well. The legendary Marty Smith will be there. So, how about that? This game to me is the most, probably the most toxic game of all the games in this playoff bracket for multiple reasons, of course. All that has to do with Ohio State, losing to Michigan. Rumblings about Ryan Day's job security, and boy, this playoff again. There's some real serious talk, apparently, according to the industry insiders, that he may get fired. I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't know why one game ultimately changes everything. It's like this isn't a Disney movie. This isn't like a movie being made by Warner Brothers. It's like, but I can't agree with Josh on that. I just don't understand why. Oh man, one single game will change my opinion on Ryan Day. Well, your mind on Ryan Day is made up. You hate him, you don't like him, or you're indifferent. But anyway, according to again the people, there is a lot of pressure on this game. Competitive pressure, hot seat pressure, whatever you want to call it. It certainly is that. But you also have to understand is that this is a first round playoff game, and it's at home. And of course, everyone's making a big deal about the weather. Yes, it is a big deal. I totally agree with you, but it's not like the only factor here. There's other factors too. Like it could be a full-on blizzard when it comes to Ohio, and it wouldn't change the game. Like I got water from my fridge. Beautiful football game of being played, and Ohio State is facing probably at least two. I'm not good with 40. The best defense they faced all year, even better than Oregon's default. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but yeah, I guess it's probably up there with Oregon, probably. So Tennessee, maybe not better than Oregon. I think areas. I think they are better actually. I did watch the college ball nerds for a breakdown on this game. Very interesting. We haven't checked out their channel, college ball nerds. If you want even more statistical and analytics and the numbers and the calculators and stuff, those guys up there have you covered. I do use their models, by the way. So if I mention the college ball nerds model, that's their public model to their website. Just look up college ball nerds on Google, and you can find it. Just sign up for it. They don't sponsor the show. I've never really talked to those guys in person or even via Twitter, but I like their model. I like their website very good. Again, those guys have to check them out. They're also on inspirations along with guys like Josh Payton cover 3. But yeah, so Tennessee best statistical defense I think they've faced. Oregon's obviously the Oregon game. The best offense thing they faced all year. Nothing against Oregon, I guess in terms of potential, they are the best offense. Tennessee, Dylan Sampson, the wide receivers here, McCoy, Squirrel Wright. Obviously, you have Nico Ilovagova. Of course, Josh Heupel, too, right? They're going to find ways to score points, I think. But you can also say, turn this around, that this is the best, the most talented team that Tennessee has faced all year. And that includes beating Bama. Well, beating Bama, playing against them, also includes facing Georgia. So that says a lot. And this is the most talented team that Tennessee has faced. I think this game's going to come down to really and truly who can. I think when this breaks down, this will probably be a low scoring game. I'm pretty confident this will be. I mean, like the college ball nerds model had it like what 27-10 or whatever, I believe. So fairly low scoring game. Not expecting this to be like a 55-59 shootout. Very team like both teams combine like 2 punts per game, or the entire game. Like I fully expect this to be. Slug it out, run the football, and I think that's where it's going down to. Which team run the football most effectively? Tennessee can do it. They've done it all year. Dylan Sampson shamefully left off of the Duke Walker award list. I don't know how and what that happened, but it did happen. Sampson, very, very much so underrated, and I don't think a lot of folks outside of the Southeastern region know who he is. So you folks in Columbus hopefully know who he is. Dylan Sampson, very good running back. But you also, folks in Columbus, have your own good stable of running backs. Duckins, when you're the headline guy in the portal, that's kind of obvious, right? He's, the reason why you brought him in is to win games like this. Like there's, a reason why you brought him in, clearly, and this is one of those games. I mean, that's how it works sometimes. And, Junkins had a very good year. Of course, the guy from, Ole Miss that comes in. You also have Trevion Henderson, who's also there. So you have two pretty stable running backs of yourself as well. So I think it's going to come down to this one there. Which running game can you get going? Because both defenses, I think, will be very effective in this game. Ohio State's defense, Tennessee's defense, of course, they have JTT and some of these other big high-profile guys. They have Tennessee as well, and they just have, machines all over the place. Not for Christ machines, but a very different type of machines. But that's where it's also going to come down to as well. Both defenses stopping each other. Can they get the crucial stops on, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, or 3rd and 5 less, 4th 5 less late in the game. But I think it's also going to come down to, as it always should, always will be, come down to the quarterbacks, Nico versus Will Howard. And a lot of folks have opinions on both. I've been very high on Nico Ilovagova ever since the summer. I thought he was a really good quarterback, 5-star kid. Showed flashes even before he got the school starting job this year. I struggled a little bit. I will give the folks over at College Ball Nerds some credit. They, had some concerns during the summer about, some of Nico's skills and abilities and how was he going to, transition into being the starter. It's been shaky this year, but I think them getting to the playoff this year is what they wanted. Right, 10-2 against a very tough schedule. Of course, some things kind of fell into place for them with some teams losing and whatnot. And they're in it now. And Nico's having the reason why they win. Him, Dylan Sampson, and that defense having the reason why Tennessee will pull off this upset. According to FanDuel, by the way, again, FanDuel's not a sponsor. I'm not advocating for you guys to do sports bet or anything. So this is not me, suggesting you should or you shouldn't. It's up to you. If it's illegal in your area, of course. I live in the state of Florida, and the only one that is illegal here is the Hard Rock Sports Bet. Never checked it out before. But what I've heard, I haven't gone to Florida, FanDuel is one of the best sports books out there. So if you live in a state where it's legal, I would suggest them. Their line is Ohio State minus 7.5. Can Tennessee pull off the upset here again? Can they sort of meet the old freeze point, the Josh P brought up? I think that was actually originated from college football nerds, their own term. Then Josh Pay kind of ran with it. I kind of agree. If pay a little bit, that's a different type of way to phrase it. Freeze point, which is sort of can Tennessee, can Tennessee reach that meet Ohio State? Can they meet them in certain areas? Like, can they be physical with them? Can they match point blow to blow with them? Can they let's just say Ohio State were to score an opening drive? Can they respond and whatnot? Can they be as physical they are? Can they perform well? Can Tennessee meet Ohio State, meet them at the freeze point? So basically, meet them. Like, can they meet them at that level? Can they be competitive with them? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's a one game sample size, so it's this is kind of it for Tennessee. If you lose this game, your season's over. Get over Ohio State. But I think this is where going to come down to me, my opinion. Of course, the quarterbacks, obviously, but I think the one that only talking about is running game again. Which running game can have most success here? Is it going to be Ohio State with Henderson and Junkins, which had a monster, or is it going to be Tennessee with Dylan Sampson and a potential Lamiala? Because that kid is also dual threat quarterback too. So don't discount him. Of course, you cannot for me, easy for me to say, right? You cannot also discount Will Howard, quarterback at Ohio State. A lot of folks don't like him. I think it's pretty telling when you have, Colin McCourt having a very, much better year than Mr. Will Howard has. But granted, most of the offenses are very different. They're asking Will Howard to do stuff that Colin McCourt is not doing at Syracuse, and granted, the level of competition is not the same. Oh, whatever, who knows? But I'm not going to discount Will Howard either. Will Howard is a very capable quarterback. He run the football. He was a good runner, decent enough passer. I know they still have weapons there, and I think that's probably the difference if you want to have a specific running or specific position group that every team has advantage of. Tennessee does not have the advantage of the wide receivers. As good as Brew McCory is, and as good as someone like Swerwright is, Swerwright. Is that right? Make sure I say that right. Swirl White. Just a combination of words there, but nothing against him and his name. But guys over at Ohio State are just better, right? You have Nick Ibuka, and obviously Jeremiah Smith, better than both of those guys. I think if there is going to be a wide receiver room that pops in this game, probably going to be Ohio State. Because again, they're more talented, have all the pieces there. Again, that's what's so frustrating about all this hit against Ryan Day. It's like, I understand losing to Michigan is not good. It doesn't feel good. Or, it really doesn't make you feel good about it. But it's like the season's not over. Like, this isn't like how it would have been in the old model where it's like, you lost 2 games and you're all of a sudden out. Ohio State's done this, and you're playing this week. So that's why I don't understand this whole, hatred towards Ryan Day and everyone's sick of him. It's like, oh, okay, first of all, it goes back to the old talking points. Right? Okay, first of all, you want to fire Ryan Day, where's the definitive replacement? Is someone better than him? Of course, I don't think there is. I think Ryan Day is fine, contrary to what people believe. And it's like, it's almost like with this whole Ryan Day thing, and whoever loses this game, or the losing team of this, or let me rephrase that, whoever loses here, the toxicity level is going to be a little bit different. So Tennessee loses, it's okay, great, cute, you guys got into the playoff, good story. Hopefully we're back next year. And with Tennessee, it's no real threat. Like, Josh Heupel's not going to go anywhere. He's not like a trapdoor's going to plop underneath his office and Knoxville. He's going to go away. If Tennessee loses this game, that's not going to happen. He's perfectly fine. There's no pressure and there's no problem with Josh Heupel. But however, contrary to my popular belief, there is a problem if Ryan Day loses this game. To my response, again, my rebuttal on that is, again, you guys have a definitive replacement in mind. And heck no, it's not Mike Vrabel. And a lot of Ohio State fans want him there, Mike Vrabel. He's an alumni. It's sort of like the whole Jetfish and Ford thing before Billy Napier got the vote of confidence from Scott Strickland. He's back next year. It's sort of the same thing with Mike Vrabel and Ohio State. I never understood it. I think Mike Vrabel will probably many of the unopened or opened NFL jobs, but no, that's not a definitive upgrade. I know around me have said that is a definitive upgrade. It's not. If you don't think it is, but No, we've seen crazier things. Right? We've seen, Bill Belichick is now the head coach at UNC, so it's not too crazy to think that just because of the connections, the school connections, and he's from there. But to me personally, it's not a definitive upgrade. Like even from organizational standpoint, hiring process, like no, that's not a definitive upgrade. Ryan Day has the most premier staff in the country. He has a very good system in place, very good recruiting apparatus, or well, that's the plural. Some people apparatus has a very good recruiting apparatus. Again, this is something who's not even talked to Ryan Day, but just what I've seen from the 50,000-foot perspective, everything from the organizational standpoint to just the overall team or team formation, talent roster, it's all there. Now, granted, they've not put up the results obviously fans want, but it's like to me, it's like this isn't like you're not building the World Trade Center here. You're building a football team. You're building up a football program. I mean, it's not this moves. It's not this like whole impossible thing. It's not this like magnificent thing you're building. But I don't know. I just do wonder. I do worry for that whole staff over there if they do lose this game. And maybe Tennessee finds a way. And look, Tennessee, of course, can win this game, right? Again, like I mentioned it. It's Dylan Sampson. Ego me off, Rob bringing the offense, and run the ball free will, and also if those opportunities are there to take deep shots, absolutely do it. Again, Sproul Wright, Drew McCoy, they can do it. They have the capability of doing it. It's just whether or not they meet the quote unquote point remains to be seen. We won't know until Saturday evening. But this whole Ryan Day thing really bothers me, and it just bothers me because he's a good coach. He has he's good organization. They have all the talent in the world there. It's like, what else you want them to do? Like, win every single game 100-0, and go 16-0, or technically with this team, it would have been 16-0. Or do you want them to go like what 15-2? Like, it's just wrong, man. I think it is wrong. A lot of the heat he's getting, at least the heat he's getting in terms of him getting fired. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the competitive pressure. I think there is competitive pressure here, and that's understandable. Right, not beating your rival, not making it to Indianapolis again for this third straight year. But it's like this whole thing about, oh man, if he loses this game, he's getting fired. It's like, well, where's your definitive upgrade if you have one? Like, what is Nick Saban going to come out of retirement and replace him? Like, if that's the case, then okay, fine. But that's not happening. Again, I don't want to hear people saying, oh man, Mike Vrabel is the penultimate savior of Ohio State football. No, he's not. I don't think he is. And he's not a definitive upgrade. So I still have to say, with everything I just mentioned about, what the matchups here with, Nico and this offense versus Ohio State's defense and vice versa, I just think, again, it has nothing to do with the weather either, though that is kind of a factor here. Tennessee's not really necessarily used to playing in, 20-degree weather. I'm going to go with the home team here. I think Ohio State wins. I think they circle the wagons. They rally the troops. I think their offensive weapons will do just enough to overwhelm the Tennessee defense. That is very good, by the way. It's the best defensive unit I think they faced all year, at least in some statistical categories. And I think Ohio State will do enough to rally the troops, circle the wagons. I think Ryan Day and those guys have had multiple weeks to prepare for this, at least to prepare for a playoff game. Of course, they now know who the opponent is. I just think that your talent can overcome Tennessee's most of us at times on offense and their running attack. I do believe their wide receivers can also take over games as well. Jeremiah Smith, Nika Buka, and their running back room too. So I'm going to take Ohio State to win. I think they cover, but I also firmly believe there is a path where Tennessee can win this game. It's a very tough path, a very narrow path, but there is a path there. I think it just been like 20 minutes talking about Ryan Day, but I had to be said. Clemson, Texas. This game, if I check here, let me go to do some quick little on-the-fly research here on the Four Verticals podcast. This game, I believe, is this an ABC game or is it a TNT game? I believe this is ABC. Yeah, it is. No, it's not actually. It's on TNT. But it will be technically an ESPN production. Like I said, you won't be getting, Ernie Johnson or Charles Barkley or any of them. They're not going to be making an appearance. Kevin Harlan's not calling the game. I'm pretty sure he's not. I'm actually going to check and see who is, though. Pretty sure they've already announced who is calling it. So, yeah, it's Dave Bash, Dusty, and Dusty Dvorak, Hilton Gregor. So, yeah, it's not, Kevin Harlan or any of them. It's just ESPN personalities, but the game will be broadcasted on TNT. The difference between actually having TNT guys coming in versus just being an ESPN production on a different network. It's weird, but it's how it's going to work. I think some folks, in my opinion, are disrespecting Clemson. Contrary to popular belief, or to most recent belief, that Clemson's falling apart, the program's going the way of the Titanic and to full on disaster. Are we sure about that? Because I think Clemson, to me, has this weird vibe to it, right? Because everyone has questions about Dabo and the transfer portal, and by the way, they finally got someone out of the portal, right? They finally got a wide receiver out of the portal. It's almost like seeing a dinosaur for the first time ever, right? Just it's like the holy grail, right? Everyone's playing about Dabo, and everyone's saying, "Oh man, that Louisville lost a few weeks ago," including me and some other folks, saying, "Oh man, that Louisville lost last month is going to have major implications in the program." All of that can be true, and I think some of that is true. But this is not the cultural playoffs; it's the expanded playoffs. Now we're getting more of these teams like Clemson and all these teams that people thought would be out of it, even the current model, not just so much the old model, will be out of it. But here they are, they're in because they won their conference, they got auto bid. And here they are going on the road to Darrell Will K Stadium in Austin, Texas, and Dabo Swinney's excited to meet Matthew McConaughey. I'm sure he'll be there as well. I think everyone's disrespecting Clemson. I think Clemson, in terms of overall talent and overall skills and abilities on offense, is probably the best overall team that Texas has faced all year, not named Georgia, which is saying a lot because, again, Texas's schedule, life was not really actually take that back. That is actually saying a lot because Georgia is the most talented team they faced all year. The regular season in the conference championship game. So you have the Michigan game, the Oklahoma, the Vanderbilt, fun, but not as talented as let's say Georgia. Texas A&M would have been, but now they're in the playoff. Now they're playing Clemson. I think Clemson, in terms of overall talent, I think having them go to 40 more talented than Texas A&M. So this is outside of the two Georgia games, the most talented team they faced all year. Probably also the best pitchers they faced outside of Kirby Smart. Very, very close second. Dabo Swinney. He's had a lot of experience in these games. He's back in the playoff for the first time. Is this right? I think this is right. Yeah, the first time since 2020, Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers are playing in a playoff game. How about that? It's been 3 years. It's been actually 4 years, actually. So it's been too long since Clemson's been back. So welcome back, Clemson. But I just felt there's a lot of my brain just farted there, basically. But I just felt Clemson been disrespected. I don't know. I look at Clemson and looked at, yes, their season has not gone the way they wanted to, but they, being Clemson, are still talented. They still have a good staff there for the most part. Have Wes Goodwin, Mickey Kuhn, defensive coordinator, obviously get Riley still there, and of course you have, Dabo Swinney. I just felt people are disrespecting Clemson. No one's picking Clemson to win the game. Everyone's respecting them. Everyone's playing on top of them. It's not just matchup. You can go for the matchups too. You have, Kate Klumnick versus Quinn Ewers, which, by the way, has happened before, as probably noted by Bud Elliott over on Cover 3, because these two, Klumnick and Ewers, are both, of course, from Texas high school football, and they both played each other, I believe, in the state championship game. And, of course, that's not really a proper anecdote because it's different levels of football. But they played each other before, so it's been a while, but they have faced each other before in the high school level. So you can look at the matchups there. Clemson's defensive line versus Texas offensive line. Texas is a defense versus the Clemson offensive line, the Clemson offense. So many matchups there. Clearly, I think for Clemson to pull this off, they wouldn't do it because Texas has all the skills and abilities, right? They have Quinn Ewers, have a good offense. Defense has been rock solid for them. Even in the two games they've lost this year to Georgia, defense wasn't the problem. Offense has been the problem at times, but they're still very talented. This is a Texas offense when right. Even in a loss against Georgia, I agree with Josh Pate. Even a loss to Georgia in the SEC championship game, I still feel good about Texas to a certain extent. At least going into this game and being able to score points and being able to use maybe use March Manning more in situations, getting him more involved, and not necessarily relying on everything on Quinn Ewers, which I know some folks in the NFL world will cringe at that because that's not a good omen. Well, in the college football world, nothing wrong with that. Like having it's not a quarterback controversy when you have options at quarterback. You just have options at quarterback. But to me, the difference here is going to be can Clemson to pull this off? Again, Texas, the path is there, right? You run the ball despite the injuries they've had. They can also again utilize someone like Arch Manning. They can do some different stuff on offense. Play good defense. Sark obviously one of the best play callers in all of college football, maybe even all of football. But I do believe this is going to come down to can the Clemson offense and can Kay Klubnik, have an all-time performance. Last week, or actually not like was it? Yeah, I guess like a couple weeks ago, when they had, the ACC championship game. It wasn't last week, but a couple weeks ago when they had the ACC championship game, I thought Kay Klubnik played one of his best games of his career. Very good. He's had a quietly good year too, by the way. I mean, I know a lot of folks were, crapping on him after the Louisville game, the South Carolina game, and of course the Georgia game early on. Quietly having a good year. Now, granted, they have not faced the same level of competition as Clemson, or Clemson has faced the same level of competition that is like the same caliber as Texas, and that's pretty obvious, right? The ton of the teams they have faced this year, Georgia being only one, and I guess South Carolina too by extension. It's not going so well. But again, I still feel like you're playing to Dabo's game. Dabo loves feeding on this, underdog mentality. Oh, poor old Clemson. It's Clemson against the world. Clemson's going to get destroyed in this game. It's Texas 100-0. Just be careful. Dabo Swinney loves playing this spoiler role, underdog role. At least expect them. They'll be there. And they are here. Again, a lot of folks didn't believe they would be here. A lot of people thought this would have been Miami, or heck, even in some cases SMU. It's little Clemson. So, again, I think where this game would be decided in. Again, I trust Texas. I have everything I need from Texas to win this game, and there's obviously a path there. But this wouldn't be fun if we always chose the favorites, because choosing the favorites is relatively pretty boring, right? I can sit here and pick Texas to win the game and just flat out destroy Clemson, but that wouldn't be fun, right? That would be playing into Dabo's game. I'm not playing the game, so I'm going to do a little reverse psychology here. I think, maybe not necessarily reverse psychology, but I'm not going to feed into, the whole, dogging on Clemson and stuff like that. I'm actually going to go with Dabo Swinney and Clemson to win the game. Texas, by the way, according to FanDuel, is written down, a 11.5-point favorite. The CFB Nerds model, by the way, has Texas favored by even more, 17.8. I just think the wrong team's favorite here. I think some way, somehow, I know this maybe doesn't sound correct to you, but I just think Clemson's going to win this game. I just don't know why. I just have the weird feeling that with Dabo Swinney's experience and Clemson, everyone's world, it's the whole team's Clemson and whatnot. I might be the only person doing this, but I think Clemson will win this game somehow, some way. Again, it doesn't sound, like, the I don't know, like what would you call it, like the consensus, if you will, the general public, but I just have a weird suspicion that Clemson's going to find a way to get this done. Again, Dabo Swinney loves playing these roles, man. He's had so much experience doing this, against Bama several times, against Oklahoma a couple years ago, or like 10 years ago almost. And he's just had success, man, in these underdog roles. He has had success doing this. Not as well as the favorite, but in these roles where he's not been the favorite in these games and he's not expected to be here, he's done it. He's done it multiple times, and last time they were here, they were not necessarily the favorite to be in, and they lost. And they had Trevor Lawrence, and they, of course, some of it was COVID stuff, and they had, some weird stuff going on there. I think of some coordinators being out and whatnot, but again, it's Dabo Swinney, and I can't go against him. So, as weird as it sounds, I'm going to go against the consensus here. Again, I'm picking Clemson to win. I think they cover. I just feel like this Clemson team being disrespected. Again, they're a good offense. They're not a terrible offense. Yes, I know they have not played a very, very, murderous row schedule. Like most of the opponents on their schedule have not been the same type of caliber team as a Georgia they faced already, or Texas this year, or Texas this year in the playoff. But college football has been weird this year, man. It's been really weird. I just think this is the game this weekend that I think where things can get a little bit weird. I'm going to take a very, very risky move here. But I'm going to pick Clemson to win, and I think they pull up the upset. Somehow, some way, I think Clemson gets it done. And old Dabo Sweeney and them proving the haters wrong once again. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm picking Clemson to win the national championship. Tune in on Thursday. However, for this one here, really quicker is this one is one of say not quick, but this one's fascinating to me, very fascinating here, especially with looking at the Vegas number from FanDuel and the CFP Nerd model too. Very, very interesting, differing numbers here. I need some water real quick, by the way, too, before we continue on. So stand by. All right. SMU, Penn State. What time is this game kicking off here? I don't know why I'm blanking on what time. I believe it is a noon kickoff. I just don't know if that is true or not. Let me double check here. Yep, it is a noon kickoff on TNT again. How about that? So 2 straight games here on TNT. And the people calling this game, if you're wondering, have not been announced yet, I don't think. Let's see if the SMU page here has announced. So no, they have not made an announcement who is calling this game. So that's interesting. So we don't know who's calling the game, but it is going to be, of course, SMU, Penn State. Penn State's first ever playoff game, by the way. So congratulations to James Franklin, and also congratulations to SMU and Brett Lashley. This to me is definitely going to be the classic, quarterback matchup here, right? Which quarterback can play the best? That to me is the key matchup here in this game. Again, I've been saying that a lot. It really does come down to the quarterbacks. And a lot of times it does, but for most of these games, it's not always the case. But this one it is. It's going to be, Jennings, the quarterback, Kevin Jennings, the quarterback at SMU versus Drew Aller at Penn State. I know a lot of folks cringe at Drew Aller. I know a lot of folks don't like Drew Aller, but it's which quarterback necessarily can win the game here and perform the best, and Braintree when you're playing in, low temperatures. But I also do believe it does come down to that somewhat. Kevin Jennings, his ability to great plays, Drew Aller, his ability to operate the offense and play Penn State's brand of football. The difference to me in this game, at least the actual key matchup here, the one that I'm actually more focused on, is whether or not Penn State can, show their strength and show their physicality. Because obviously SMU is obviously undermatched here. It's a former G5 team going on the road. They are technically an ACC team, but their makeup is still pretty much a G5 team going on the road to a powerful Penn State team. Again, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton. Of course, this is the reason why you bring back those guys, and this is why they need to come back, because they want to have this opportunity to play in a playoff game. Here they are doing so. That to me is a mismatch for SMU. I just don't think they have the bodies on the probably on the offensive line too, but especially on the D line, they don't have the bodies to stop Penn State. I think Penn State should be able to impose their will, impose their strength. Katron Allen and Nick Singleton both should have big days here. And so should Drew Aller too. I think Drew Aller can also be a factor here. And of course, you also have Tyler Warren, Mackey Award winner, and Penn State's defense and how can they disrupt. I think they're key too for Penn State to obviously, if they're going to win this game, which I think most people are going to pick them to. It's going to disrupt. How will they be able to disrupt Kevin Jennings? So I think Kevin Jennings is the real key here. Again, like I said earlier, one of the matchups is again Penn State's running game versus SMU, rush defense, which I don't think it's a very fair matchup. But the quarterback situation is interesting too, because with Penn State, of course, Bo Pabliar, whatever his name is, he's in the portal. He is no longer of the team, so he's left. So that's been them, and I think Texas also lost someone too in the portal. So those are 2 playoff teams that have lost players. Bo Pabliar, I believe, is a second quarterback for Penn State who's played a little bit. So that's interesting too for Drew Aller. If he gets hurt, who's going to step up there? Did he go, full Wildcat mode, or what they do up there? Haven't necessarily checked to see who the third or so stringer is for Penn State. Appreciate everyone. Probably should do that real quick here just to see. So yeah, Bo Pabliar or Pabliar, he is out. Jackson Muluk, I believe, and then you have Ethan Gruckenmeyer, whatever guys who would be, I guess, available, and you have Jack Lambert too. So there's some options there, but I don't know if all those guys are necessarily going to be available. Should something, God forbid, happen to Drew Aller, but let's hope not. Of course, Drew Aller will be back next year, apparently. He's already announced he's coming back, but this, to me, isn't so much about Drew Aller, in my opinion, because Drew Aller and them, the main goal for Penn State, I think, in my opinion, what they're going to try to do is just run the football. They have the workhorses to do it, sort of like Ohio State in a little bit. I mean, they have the talent there, they have the physicality. This isn't a game where you need Drew Aller to throw for 500 yards. I know a lot of folks, would much rather Drew Aller to play like Aaron Rodgers, but that's not who he is. But I'm going to sit here and try to defend Drew Aller and whatnot. But Penn State here, they just need to run the football, play their brand of football, because really inferior their talent level versus SMU. Again, SMU, like I mentioned, they're basically just G5 team with, power four, if you will, stickers on their helmets. They're not this typical, power four caliber team, right? They're not the same even caliber of athlete even as like a, I don't know, Michigan State, for example, or Maryland. They're not. I mean, they're not terrible, but they're not the same caliber of athlete. Like they're not. This isn't even me, trying to disrespect Ray Ashley and company, but they're not. They're not the same type of team that can reasonably expect to compete with a P4 team. So again, I think if Penn State really wanted to, let's run Ketron Allen and run on Nick Singleton to the ground, essentially, and have those guys have a big day. But if SMU were to win this game somehow, some way, Kevin Jennings has got to play the game of the year. And he's got to perform at very high level, create on his own. He's a run-around type of quarterback. He's a good runner, can throw the ball well. Officer Ray Ashley and, Gus Malzahn disciple, runs a really similar offense. It's a high-scoring offense, very fast offense, too. It's a very, kind of – that's not working well. I was trying to snap, but that's how fast it is. It's, line up to – it's sort of like the whole, tempo that, like, old Baylor Bryles stuff, like the veer and shit offense, like what Tennessee does and whatnot. So that's sort of the vibe here, if you will, in terms of how fast SMU goes, and of course, running quarterback and them, being able to have the ability to get guys open and whatnot. But again, for Penn State, their overall physicality should take over this game if they can. But if they don't, and SMU were to win this game, that's of course turnovers and unforeseen circumstances, and of course, Kevin Jennings has to have the best game of his life, quarterback here. So I saw that to say the FanDuel number or the Vegas number from FanDuel is Penn State minus 8.5. No surprise there. The college football nerds model, excuse me as I fix my screen here. The CFP nerds model, by the way, claims the wrong team's favored. They have SMU minus 2.5, which is shocking to me. Look at their model. That's what it has up. I mean, it's SMU is the wrong team. They're saying the wrong team is favored. I don't think so. Now, again, there's obviously a path here for SMU to win and whatnot, and so on and so forth. Of course, obviously, the weather's going to be a factor here. I mean, it's going to be like, 20 degrees out. May as well, be playing the game in Alaska and whatnot. And it's a southern team going to a cool weather environment, so that's obviously a big no-no. But it's fascinating to see that the college football nerds model has SMU minus 2.5. According to their model, they would be favored. So that's news to me. I didn't realize that. I haven't watched your video, but I think they actually released it today. But I'm going to disagree with their model. I think Penn State's going to win if they cover. I just think that Ketron Allen and Nick Singleton and that physicality they can impose on SMU, a very undermanned defense, to me should be the difference in the game. Now, again, there is a path, a very narrow path, if you will, and obviously the CFP nerds model agrees here that SMU can win the game, but it's very narrow. So, real quick here, Indiana, Notre Dame. This game is the Friday game, so it's the first game. I believe this is Jesse Palmer in that crew, I believe. Let me back this up real quick here just to confirm. This is going to be that crew. I believe it is, if I recall correctly. Yeah, so it'll be, so Sean, well, it's actually not. It's actually going to be Sean McDonough. It's an ABC game, by the way, ESPN. So, like I mentioned last week, first time ever, at least in my lifetime, that a Notre Dame football game outside of the old NCAA football video game series, which, when ESPN was like presenting presenting TV partner of that game, and all the games that you play were ESPN. Outside of those video games, this is the first time we will ever see, at least in the modern times, a Notre Dame football home game not on NBC. Mind blown there. I think Josh Pate also mentioned that on Sunday too, but I was first Josh to mention that. So yeah, I guess he didn't realize that, but yeah. Yeah, ESPN, ABC, 8 o'clock on this Friday. So it'll be Sean McDonald, Greg McElroy, Mon McGrath, and Katie George will be there as well. So we're getting dual sideline reporting there. And yeah, it's a in-state game too. So it's a battle for the state of Indiana. So I'm sure everyone from Bloomington, Indiana, South Bend, to even as far as south of Jasper, Indiana, will be watching this as well. If you watch a certain prank call channel, you know the significance of Jasper, Indiana. You know. But the final number on this game, by the way, is Notre Dame minus 7.5. I'm excited to hear again. Notre Dame, good defense, solid defense. Riley Leonard, a good quarterback. At times this year's been good, at times not so good. Indiana, great story of Coach Sig and that company, Curtis to work the quarterback, and they've just been a fun story. Only one loss coming to Ohio State. Can they win this game? That's the question here. Can Indiana at least keep this competitive? Again, much like some of these other games, everyone's picking Notre Dame to win the game. And spoiler alert, so am I. I think Notre Dame's going to win the game and cover. But here's what's interesting, too. I mentioned this SMU game and SMU Penn State game, and SMU was the favorite, if you will, according to the CFP Nerds model. Their model, by the way, for this Indiana Notre Dame game has Indiana technically minus 0.8. So they have Indiana as a very, very slight favorite here, and basically a pick 'em. And so that tells us, that tells me that there's obviously their model believes there is a half variance in the game. What would that look like? Well, number one, it's Indiana playing defensively the best game of the year, playing the best game of the year, being physical, getting stops, crucial stops against Notre Dame. Of course, Notre Dame didn't want to run the football. Obviously, this will also be another lot of also, and obviously, but this will be another cold weather game. It's in Indiana, but those guys should be used to that. So it's not a surprise there, but it's pretty clear that Notre Dame is going to want to run the football, much like Penn State probably. It showed their physicality, showed them a more physical dominant team. It's a little burp there, but show that they are the more physical team. I want to try to impose their will, run the football, have Riley Leonard be involved too, because that's why you brought him in to be more of a runner than he is a thrower. I think for Indiana to win this game, because the path for Notre Dame is pretty simple, right? It's run the football, game control, play good defense, force Indiana, and third and 5+ situation, get their offense behind schedule, have Curtis to work, get frustrated. But if Indiana were to win this game, I think the key here is obviously for Curtis to work to have a big game, but also for them to harass Riley Leonard, because he can be had on. Texas A&M did it a little bit at the beginning of the year. Northern Illinois did so as well. Other times this year, he's been harassed a little bit. Not necessarily the best quarterback they faced all year. I don't think he is. They've certainly faced better caliber players in Indiana, but there's a path there. And again, it's containing Riley Leonard, getting him frustrated, getting some personal stops, and Curtis George is going off. Again, it's a very narrow path for a lot of these teams. Again, these are home playoff games, so obviously the home team is going to be giving, their due because they are the home team, the home crowd. But there's always a path for these teams, especially in this new world we're in, that the road team can win. Like I mentioned earlier, it comes in to beat Texas. So I'm not doing that here. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Notre Dame's going to win. They do cover, but there's a path, very narrow path for Indiana to win this game. Again, it's really going to come down to, can they get crucial stops, on defense, and can they frustrate Notre Dame offense. Has been shown to slow down at times. They've not been necessarily a well-oiled machine. And can Curtis work play the game of his life? So I don't think that's going to happen here, but there's a path. There's a path. There's always a path. All right, so let me get some water real quick here. Transfer portal stuff. Got some thoughts on Sony Spider Man stuff and news and what's going on there, and some Chargers Buccaneers reaction. Here as we continue to roll along on this hour show. Definitely going to go over an hour, but because of that, we get some water real quick, and we will wrap up the show here real quick. So the transfer portal has been active. A lot of players are announcing destinations, so I figured I'll give you guys an update on what is happening, if you will. So what has happened, of course, a lot of movement going on. Jackson Orville, by the way, is at Auburn now, so Hugh Freeze and company got their quarterback. Is he necessarily the guy that Auburn fans wanted him? I don't know. I think the sentiment from the Auburn community, I will probably do some more research on this, but the feeling I'm sort of getting is that it's a mixed reaction, to say the least. Some folks don't know what to think of it. Some folks think it's, oh man, it's being thrown all over again. Some people think it's, whatever. My thoughts on this, and we'll move on. I don't want to dwindle. I said dwindle twice here. I don't want to focus on this too much because there's other news to get to. But Josh brought this up on the show on Twitter the other day about, could this be a reversal of the Bo Nix switch? Of course, Bo Nix, 5-star kid from Auburn, leaves, goes to Oregon, has a lot of success. Now he's in the NFL and having a fairly decent year, I would say. Now you have Jackson Arnold, kind of similar stature, similar playing style. Goes to Oklahoma, 5-star kid. A lot of people, including Pay, were very excited about him. Struggles, now goes to Auburn versus Bo Nix leaving Auburn. And Auburn, of course, they've been building up this. Next year, going to be the year. You have Perry, Cam Cullen, Perry Thompson. All these freshman receivers are a year older. Are going to pay hard or spend hard in the portal. And their plan all along was to get a different quarterback. Of course, Walker White leaves and some of the other guys leave because they know they're bringing in different talent. I wasn't a big fan of Walker White to begin with. And, he's never going to see the field at Auburn really to a meaningful sample size, which is not really shocking because, again, some of the folks that were following the recruiting weren't necessarily over the moon about him. So that tells you anything, and that's sort of invalidated. They've also added to Ashton Daniels. Never Daniel is a last name quarterback, but Ashton Daniels is probably going to be the backup, I think. So they brought in Jackson Arnold, probably the starter. Daniels backup. Both these guys, again, dual threat guys. I think Arnold has potential. He's obviously got the skill set there. He's a runaround guy. He has sort of fits what I think Hugh Freeze is doing. More what Payne Thorne was being brought into. But I do have some concern here, right? Is Jackson Arnold too far gone broken to where you can't repair him? And also wonder too, was this a big enough name for Auburn? Was this the situation with Hugh Freeze and them were going, we could have gone after someone even larger in terms of profile and stature, but we didn't. This is the next best option. So interesting to say the least. I'm very curious here to see how this works. Again, it's a very crucial year for Hugh Freeze and Auburn. It's very much his fun opportunity to get things turned around there. Again, going 5-7 at Auburn, and 6-7 the year before, and 5-7 the year even before that. Not acceptable. It's been probably the worst stretch of Auburn football that I've ever endured. I'm not really even a fan there. I just been following the team there since I've been used to live in the state of Alabama. I also follow Alabama as well a lot, but you have to get it done next year. A lot of competitive pressure there for Hugh Freeze and them. And they supposedly have their quarterback, so okay. We'll see how it turns out. We have all spring and all summer to go through, so of course fall camp. Some other big names here, and this is the according to 247, their little tracker of the database. So John Mateer, quarterback from Washington State, knows where he's entered in. Consensus is he's probably going to go to Oklahoma, but Miami's also a candidate. Now, the reason why John Mateer would go to Oklahoma is because his offensive coordinator, Arbuckle, is at Oklahoma. And there's obviously, of course, the reason why people were making that connection with Coleman Levy because Levy was the guy who recruited him. Arbuckle was the same way. A guy he's familiar with. He's at Oklahoma. It just makes sense to follow the guy you're used to. So that one probably leaning towards Oklahoma. But Miami, Shannon Dawson and company, and Mario Cristobal also, that market for a quarterback as well. So they are another big shark fin out there that is rooming. And so is Ole Miss, because now, according to 247, Eric Singleton Jr., the highly coveted wide receiver from Georgia Tech, and everyone thought initially Georgia, and then Auburn started entering the mix here in Miami. Yes, he's also making some potential moves here. Ole Miss Lane Kiffin. How about that? Surprise, right? Yep, shocker. That Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin are going big in the portal again, apparently. And according to 247, their crystal ball currently is Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. And if that were to be the case, how about that? A couple years in a row where they made some big splash there in the current transfer portal, and it's changed a lot of things for Ole Miss. Everybody here was me and a lot of other people thinking, this past season or this current season of Ole Miss, they're going 9-3, wasting an opportunity to potentially win a national championship. Perhaps you're wrong on that. Now, granted, it's not do some work. They obviously got to find a quarterback and some other pieces to replace because they're losing a lot of guys. But this helps a little bit. Certainly makes you, if you're a fan in Tupelo, Mississippi, or in some of those other areas of northern Mississippi, makes you feel a little bit better, if you will, a little bit better, knowing that you're at least in the market for some of these guys. Jalen Mabiki from Bama. Sorry for mispronouncing the name, but he's the quarterback from Bama. Ole Miss as well, also being logged in. Deuce Robinson still hasn't yet to find a home yet. He left USC. He entered in last week. Luke Romanoke has committed to Mississippi State. Former 5-star kid from Florida State goes to Mississippi State. Cool. Great. Interesting get there for Mississippi State. They also got they lost Van Buren to LSU. And by the way, Garrett Nussmeier's coming back too. So if you're an LSU fan, sigh of relief there. You didn't lose Nussmeier. He's come back. So huge there for Ryan Kelly. But Luke Romanoke going to Mississippi State. Interesting fit there. It's Jeff Levy offense. Romanoke, talented kid. Let's see how he develops there. Prince Will Manu. It's the edge guy from Nebraska. He's already committed to Ole Miss, so there's that. Hunter Zabrano from Southern Illinois. He's going to Texas Tech. He is the 7th player according to 247. Patrick Kudas from Arkansas. By the way, the Arkansas story, with the players that are losing, that's been talked about. Now, Josh Pitt mentioned this a couple weeks ago, I believe, or last week. This whole Arkansas situation with all the players that are losing, it's a developing story. I'm keeping an eye on it. Obviously, it's not good, especially for Sam Pittman. And, granted, yes, he's still around. He's not going anywhere, but it certainly doesn't bode well for a coach at a school that is sort of a lame duck, though I don't have much joy in saying that. But now I'm certainly keeping an eye on that situation up there. But Kudas, I believe that's how you pronounce it, a little mess. So he's also another addition for Lane Kiffin. Dane Key from Kentucky. He's also still available. Nick Anderson from Oklahoma. He's available as well. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback from Cal, also out there. Takirio Davis from Arizona, cornerback, also available, 4-star guy. Jaheim Otis is a Colorado Buffalo, so he is committed. He committed yesterday. KJ Concepcion, still a mystery where he's at. I think Auburn's probably in the mix here. Williams Wanaria from Missouri, from a 5-star kid. He's going to Nebraska. I think I mentioned that before. Micah Hudson, the Texas Tech transfer from a 5-star, going to Texas A&M. So Texas A&M, Mike Elko and company found their wide receiver. So that's a huge get there. That's a really huge get. Hudson, the important 5-star guy. A lot of folks were wondering if he was going to go there. It seems like that's where he is going to go, and he will be going there. He is a Texas Aggie. Varian Brown, wide receiver from Kentucky, going to LSU. Xavier Chaplin, O-tackle. Auburn needs O-tackle in there, so I'm going to need a lot more. He's going to Auburn. He's already committed. Auburn, by the way, to the top 10 teams if you want the transfer portal right now. We'll miss that 1. Shocker. LSU at 2. Shocker as well. Auburn 3. Pretty good. Texas Tech at 4. A&M 5. Mississippi State in the top 10. How about that? Houston 7. Minnesota top 10 as well. Wisconsin top 10, and Louisville is at 10. So a lot of movement being made there. I want to check here some of the other positions here. Quarterback, obviously the big one. Everyone's going to want. It's the position everyone's focused on. Again, the tier we don't know yet. Chroma, Mississippi State. Minnesota we don't know yet. Willie Murphy looks like he's going to go to Auburn. And after the mystery, we'll see where he ends up going. Connor Wegman, that has been confirmed now. Well, it's been confirmed for over a week. He is going to Houston. Moss to Louisville. No surprise there. It makes sense. I mean, it's the profile of a Jeff Brom quarterback. Mencia, I think quarterback from Carolina Duke. I think I mentioned that in the last show. Again, Walker White's in the portal. Aaron Nolan, by the way, is in the portal too. Caden Stelter is still available. Bo Pablia, like I mentioned earlier, he's there. Michael Van Buren Jr., he's at LSU, so he's a bridge quarterback, if you will. He's a backup. These other ones we've already mentioned to some extent. Billy Edwards Jr., by the way, is at Wisconsin. So that's a big deal. Very talented guy, very underrated too. No real movements. There are no other movements there besides the one we've already start over there. Besides the ones we've already mentioned, so I've been talking for a while, but so far we had some big names out there. A lot of names I'm still watching. Still waiting on Concepcion, Blake Murphy. Again, Eric Singleton Jr. seems like Ole Miss is the leader in the clubhouse there. So how about that? Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin just doing it again, just casually doing it again. How about that? Even in the year that they failed to, do much with the additions they made last year, and here they are, they're resupplying in the portal. Doesn't mean it's not necessarily going to work, but it looks good. Looks like they're still going. They're still trickling along there. Real quick here, I wanted to touch on this Sony Spider Man stuff. There's been a lot of reports. Of course, Kraven the Hunter debuted on Friday. I mean, the movie's terrible. I'm never going to see it. I've never seen any other movies like the Morbius movie or Madam Web or whatever. So, movies are absolutely horrible. It's not making a lot of money. It's like one of the worst rated movies too, according to Cinema Score. Cinema Score. So, that's not good. There's been a lot of reports going around. You're going to see a whole lot of this, which was expected, right? About the whole rumors and stuff going around about, Sony and Marvel, potentially Sony selling off the Spider Man rights and getting rid of them or whatnot. I do think, and I won't touch on this too much. May actually end up doing a separate video on this, one of the individual videos. But there is going to be massive ramifications on the way Sony has handled their exclusive own Spider-Man universe. Like, it's not so much the talent, because they've had, talented directors and actors. I mean, hell, they've had, Sydney Sweeney in one of their movies too. And it doesn't matter. But talent's not an issue. I mean, it's not even just her. It's like, Tom Hardy, and then Jared Leto, not so much. But even like Aaron Taylor Johnson's not a bad actor. He's pretty good. But talent not an issue. IP's not an issue either. It's just execution's not been there. And it makes you wonder, how much longer. I mean, like, there's got to be some ramifications here. I think with the way Sony's been failing it so much with these weird Spider-Man spinoffs. They don't even have Spider-Man. I'll probably do a much bigger video on this, but the reports that are coming out about Sony potentially selling off their stuff to Marvel and Disney, I don't know if that is the case, but you are hearing a lot of it, and it's coming from very reliable sources. Like, for example, some of the Twitter scoopers, who was it, the My Time to Shine person, they mentioned that this is happening, and Alex Perez, who's been a very, very good source of information too for Marvel. Obviously, Alex is not a program or anything, but he's very much so in the know. He has a lot of, people who he has connections, if you will. And he kind of admitted, he's like, yeah, that's something I've also been hearing too. And so it's not just, one person saying that. It's other very reliable scoopers and, leakers and stuff that are also collaborating with that. And we'll see what happens. Again, nothing's been reported from like the Hollywood trades or anything, but at least up to that extent. But there have been reports coming out that, Sony is temporarily pausing some stuff. They're not going forward any future movies, the stuff that's in development now, like the Nick Cage, Spider-Man Noir series that's coming out on the Amazon, which looks good, by the way. And by the way, a actual Sony Spider-Man project has Spider-Man in it. which is, in my opinion, a big factor as to why a lot of these films are failing. Not necessarily the main reason why, but it is a reason why they are filming or failing because they've not been using IP properly. They're not including Spider Man. They're doing like Spider Man movies, if not without Spider Man. Which I know some people will hark on and saying, well, the movies are making a lot of money and they're success financially. Cool. Again, I got water from my refrigerator today. That's great. Um, so what? Like it's like that's not the only factor here. Like I'm pretty sure the fans don't want to keep on seeing poorly made movies that are involving good talent, good IP that are just horrible movies. I don't know what to say. They're horrible movies, and I think there will be ramifications on this. I may do again a more in-depth video of my thoughts on this, but I don't know what's going to happen. Again, who knows? And again, there certainly is a scenario there where Sony may just end up selling the rights back to Marvel, and that means going to Disney. So, from a financial standpoint, from a studio standpoint, that would be studio suicide. I mean, you're basically Sony saying, "Yeah, we're done making movies." Like the Spider-Man IP is keeping Sony alive. I know a lot of folks say, "Well, but the James Bond movies." Well, the James Bond movies are making like billions and billions of dollars. I know that's nothing against those movies or anything. I haven't seen all of them. I've seen some of the Daniel Craig ones, but that's not the biggest IP you have. The biggest IP is Spider-Man. Like that is the biggest. Like out of all the, just look at this generically, biggest superhero IP franchises: Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, and then I guess the X-Men. At least traditionally. Now, of course, in recent years, been the Avengers. But before that, like just throughout history, the biggest IP brands in superheroes, again, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, and the X-Men. That's it. Those are the big four right there. Of course, one out of fifth one, the Avengers. But Sony, if they ever loses the license, like it's basically suicide. You're basically destroying your studio, and they may not exist for another 5 years. That'll be damning to them. So I don't think that's still going to happen. But there will be ramifications. I do think you will see some things change over there, whether it's organizationally or getting in some better writers, or maybe having a better plan, if you will, and maybe collaborating more with Marvel, maybe rearranging their deal to where it's even more of a collaboration versus just help us with the Spider-Man stuff, and we'll Spider-Man proper, we'll do the spin-off films on our own. I don't know. So who knows? Like I said, I'll probably do a bigger video on this, and I'll have it. Probably will, which will be part of the videos I'll be doing for the next couple of weeks. But yeah, definitely the Sony Spider-Man universe is in limbo. So that's something that's been happening. But in terms of the main stuff for the show, we're done with that. So if you're not an NFL fan, see you on Wednesday or on Thursday, excuse me. But I figured I'll do this real quick. So the Chargers and Buccaneers played this week. Played last weekend, not this weekend. This weekend it's Buccaneers and Cowboys. Will preview that game on Sunday. Well, the game's Sunday on Thursday, but 40-17 Buccaneers over Chargers. It was just shocking to me. A little bit shocking. I grant you, I did pick the Buccaneers to win and cover, but not like this, man. This was, in the words of Josh Pitt, flattering. I mean, this was pretty jarring to see. I didn't expect this to be this bad. Tampa, Mike Evans had a big game. It was just a very dominant win. Defensively, I think all phases of the game were great. Defense, offense, good. Now, grant you Baker threw another interception, but that's just a footnote. Had one of his best games, at least completion percentage-wise, and he threw 4 touchdowns. Mike Evans had the best game of his season so far this year. The best really good stat line. Bucky Irving is back to being fully healthy. Had that 50-yard run. Very good. Jalen McMillan had a huge game. He had 2 touchdowns. That's all I had to really say here. This is just a dominant, flat out, just dominant, physical, just splattering, if you will. And on the road against a very formidable opponent. And I will say this, and now going the show here on this. We've been going for a long time. But for the Chargers, like I said, there's really not much to say here for Tampa. It's like they're still in the division because they have, a really good record, and the Falcons continue to slide a little bit. Let's hope that stays that way if you're a Bucs fan, because when it comes to head-to-head stuff, it gets a little weird. That's where the scenarios would favor the Falcons in that. But looking at it from a record standpoint, a resume, Tampa's is better. But for the Chargers, I mean, look, it is what it is. I mean, you got splattered at home. I'm not a Chargers fan. I have people who I know who have a vested interest in that team. I mean, it's a rebuilding year for them, according to them. But I don't know, man. I mean, you sign up for this if you're a Chargers fan. I mean, you know what you're getting yourselves into. You know the formula is for them, at least from a realism or Chargers perspective. They play really well when they have a lead. They do not play well when they don't have a lead, and I think this game represents that. They also don't have the pieces they need to be successful there. A lot of folks are making a big deal about Jesse Minter and him getting a head coaching job, and the same thing coming to Tampa. It's another whole other topic of discussion we get into on Thursday about what Liam Cohen looks like. I mean, could he be doing what Dave Canales did last year and leaving after 1 year? Hopefully not. If you're a Bucs fan, it's on the table. But for the Chargers, I mean, it's like you set up for this, right? You know what you're getting with Jim Harbaugh. It's a physical team. It's a putt offense, and when the offense looks good when you have a lead, right? It looked good when I was at the Carolina game a couple of months ago when they were up like 7-10 at halftime or something, or 10-3, and it looks good when you're up and you have a lead. It doesn't look good when you're trailing in a game and you're struggling. But they don't even have the pieces too, not to mention like on the offensive line. I think it was pretty evident that's not good. Vita Vea had a big game. The whole defense really had a good game. I mean, like Jamel Dean had an interception. How about that? Jamel Dean's setting. But the Chargers. I mean, it's what you sign up for. The offense is what it is. I think defensively, I mean, it's hard to keep that momentum going for an entire season. It's the most points they've given up all year. Most yardage they've given up all year. They just don't have the pieces to be successful this year, to be a meaningful team. If they make moves in the free agency market and the draft, who knows, maybe next year it'll be a little bit better. But it's when you set up for this, I mean, you're getting the pump-out offense and you're getting a very slow, methodical offense that when they don't have the lead, and you saw this on Sunday like I did, that it doesn't look good. You don't have the pieces, you don't have the proper pieces available to you. Now, if you did have that, and then we're having a totally different discussion here probably, but don't have that right now, and they're still a playoff team. Again, this doesn't really impact anything in the AFC or in NFC in general. It's just a good resume building game, and Tampa took advantage of it, and they're now 8-6, and they have an opportunity or a path because the rest of their schedule doesn't have a team with a winning record left. I mean, Dallas, sure, it's a game you can't really lose. I mean, it'll look really bad. Then you're on home. This is your last back-to-back game stretch here. Some concern here with that. I'll mention it on Tuesday. Which you end with the Panthers. I'll be there for the Saints game on probably the 5th. But it should be smooth sailing here. They have not lost since November 10th. It's not guaranteed they'll lose more. They could very easily lose another game here and finish 10-7 or 9-8. I mean, that's where, of course, things get really weird, but the path is certainly there for them to continue to win. Again, they have Dallas this week. After that, it's Panthers, and then Saints, and probably you win the division more than likely, and get in the playoffs again, continuing that playoff streak. The current playoff picture, by the way, looks like this. So it's Detroit, Philly, Tampa, Rams. Of course, Tampa has the lead. Mainly thanks to they win the tiebreaker over LA. Of course, we can order based on record, and that's partially the reason why the Cardinals are. I mean, not the Cardinals. The Falcons are where they're at, but if both teams finish 10-7, the Falcons, I believe, because of the head-to-head, would be in. So it's Tampa's hope that they continue to win, the Falcons continue to lose, or you don't want to get into a 10-7 versus 10-7, and then Tampa lost to you guys both times, so that's how it's going to work. It comes down to comparing the resumes, if you will, a little bit. But huge win for Tampa. It's important for them to keep winning, and important to continue to root for the opponents of the Falcons, so rooting against them. So yeah, huge win for them, and they just got to continue to hope that things fall into place for them. And they do not get into a situation where it's comparing 10-7 and 10-7, and at that point the Falcons end up going. That's it for the show, I believe. That's it on Florida. We are done. So I'll be back on Thursday. I'll give you guys my full playoff bracket. I'll dive into more new stuff. Again, I'll be recording some more, probably some YouTube exclusive stuff this week. A little bit. We'll have those release throughout next week here. I just got some more water there, but yeah, I'll be working on those this week, and I'll let you guys know what the plan is. Hopefully, we can get those out in time. But the next show after Thursday will be after New Year's. So how about that? And then we'll be in the new year, and we'll go into it. So until Thursday, left me rambling there. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Enjoy your Wednesday. So until Thursday, take care. And we'll see you guys then.